Welcome to the mystery snapshots of history, where the past holds more secrets than you ever imagined. In 1901, French authorities uncovered a harrowing case. Blanche Monnier, a woman who had been confined in a small dark attic room by her own mother for 25 years. Her emaciated state revealed the unimaginable isolation and neglect she had endured. In the 1962nd, a 2-year-old indigenous boy named Cheney Wenjack died while attempting to return home after escaping a residential school in Canada. These schools were part of a system that forcibly removed indigenous children from their families and cultures. In 1960, Martin Luther King Jr. removed a burned cross from his front yard. Acts like this were common forms of intimidation directed at leaders of the civil rights movement in the United States. A photograph by Paolo Pedretti shows left-wing activist Jeppe Mo during a street clash on Via Amicus in Milan in the late 1972. The image captures the intensity of Italy's years of lead, a period marked by political unrest and violence. In 1962, a peasant is seen kissing the feet of Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran, as he distributes land titles in Isfahan. The gesture reflects the reverence some citizens held for the ruler during a time of sweeping political and social reforms. During the Battle of Stalingrad in 1942, a Red Army soldier is seen firing from inside a bathtub. The battle was one of the most pivotal confrontations of World War II, resulting in the defeat of German forces on the Eastern Front. In July 1916, during the Battle of the Somme, British soldiers from Company A, 110th Battalion, were photographed occupying a German trench near the Albert Bapaume Road. The battle would become one of the bloodiest in World War I, symbolizing the brutal trench warfare of the Western Front. In April 1968, a soldier stands next to his M60 machine gun on the steps of the U.S. Capitol. The heavy military presence followed widespread unrest in Washington, D.C., prompting a large-scale National Guard deployment. Photographed by Larry Burrows on the 16th of April, 1965. This image documents the exhausting reality faced by helicopter crews in the Vietnam War. The photo, part of the Yankee Papa 13 series, follows an aerial mission marked by chaos, fear, and camaraderie. In 1905, a detained immigrant dances on Ellis Island. This location served as the gateway for millions entering the United States, many arriving with nothing but hope for a better future in a new land. In 1932, during a time of political unrest in Chihuahua, Mexico, a federal soldier is seen resting beside a woman who kisses him gently while holding the barrel of his rifle. The moment captures a rare blend of intimacy and tension during a volatile period. Around 1939, a young German boy is photographed wearing his father's military uniform. The image reflects how militarism permeated family life in Nazi Germany, with symbols of war woven into childhood. In 1919, after the collapse of the Bavarian Soviet Republic, a German communist militant is pictured moments before receiving his sentence in Munich. Many activists were arrested and punished in the government's effort to restore order. On June 25, during the French Revolution of that year, workers constructed barricades along Rue Saint-Maur in Paris. The uprising reflected widespread dissatisfaction with the government and became one of the most iconic episodes of street resistance in modern Europe. A daguerreotype from 1844 shows former U.S. President Andrew Jackson at the age of 78. This rare photograph captures one of the only known images of Jackson near the end of his life. A bread delivery man works amid the Irish Civil War in the 1922nd. The conflict, which followed Ireland's independence, saw violent clashes between pro- and anti-treaty forces across the country. Roughly 100 people take part in a lottery to divide 12 acres of sand dunes near Jaffa. The event marked a significant step in the planned urban expansion, with the land distributed to Jewish families seeking new beginnings. In 1893, a police mugshot captures one-year-old Anton, a convicted child. Before the establishment of juvenile courts, children were often sent to adult prisons, receiving the same harsh punishments as grown men. In 1931, street acrobats perform in New York, drawing crowds with outdoor shows. Amid the Great Depression, such public entertainment offered brief moments of joy during a time of widespread hardship. In 1932 England, a man stands in the street holding his resume in hopes of finding a job. With unemployment high, job seekers often resorted to creative methods to get noticed in an increasingly competitive market. In 1938, a group of unemployed workers gather around a makeshift shack decorated with a small Christmas tree on East 12th Street in New York. Despite economic despair, simple gestures like this brought warmth and a sense of shared humanity. In 1945, soldiers returned home after the end of World War II. Across the world, families embraced their loved ones with joy and relief after years of separation and uncertainty. In 1901, a young girl named Adelaide Springett is photographed wearing her best clothes in London. Her appearance, while neat, reveals the hardship endured by many working-class children during the Victorian era. The Pommern, one of the last commercial sailing ships on the seas, is photographed rounding Cape Horn in 1949. Built in 1905, the ship relied solely on wind power, preserving a vanishing maritime tradition. In the winter of 1943, a Heinkel He 111 aircraft from the German Flugzeugführerschule 34 unit lands in Copenhagen, Denmark. During the Nazi occupation, Danish airfields were used for training and logistical support. Around 1944, a U.S. military jeep equipped with a Browning M1919 machine gun advances through Pacific terrain. Such vehicles played a crucial role in mobility and rapid response during World War II. In 1961, a West Berlin police officer stands guard while East German soldiers erect the Berlin Wall behind him. The barrier would soon become a symbol of the Cold War, dividing families and ideologies for decades. In July 1900, archaeologists unearthed a remarkably preserved statue of Antinous. The discovery reflected the deep reverence for this Roman youth, whose image appeared throughout ancient art and culture. In 1918, for future U.S. President Harry S. Truman is photographed as an artillery captain in France during World War I. Before his political career, Truman served with distinction in the U.S. military. An army doctor feeds baby birds during World War II while serving in the 45th Armored Medical Battalion, even amid war. Moments like this revealed the enduring compassion of those in uniform. Marine Sergeant Frank Prater is seen feeding an orphan kitten during the Korean War. After the kitten's mother died, Prater adopted and cared for it, a scene that resonated with many when the photo was published. In the 1932nd, a young boy is seen alongside his pet wild boar, likely raised in a rural setting. The boar appears to have formed a close bond with the child. Built in 1947 by Howard Hughes, the massive H-4 Hercules, nicknamed the Spruce Goose, was designed for military transport. Constructed mainly of wood due to wartime metal shortages, it remains one of aviation's most ambitious projects. In 1993, former President George H.W. Bush watches the U.S. Capitol from a helicopter after attending Bill Clinton's inauguration. Having lost the election, Bush passed the presidency to Clinton, who was beginning his first term as the 42nd President of the United States. In 1963, a young Bill Clinton greets President John F. Kennedy at the White House. At the time, Clinton was a student attending an event as part of a youth leadership program, an encounter that would later become iconic in his political journey. In 1926, Henry Ford announced a groundbreaking change in labor policy, the 8-hour workday and 5-day workweek. The move revolutionized industry and became a model for modern employment standards around the world. An electric car from the early 1902 is seen in use. These vehicles were especially favored by city dwellers and upper-class women for their quiet operation and ease of use before internal combustion engines took over the market. In 1953, swimmers at a Las Vegas hotel lounge by the pool as a distant atomic mushroom cloud rises in the background. Conducted 75 miles away. Such nuclear tests became tourist spectacles, despite limited public awareness of the health risks. This image of New York City in 1933 reveals a skyline so modern for its time that it appears futuristic, as if from the 2072nd. The towering buildings and neon lights reflected a city on the rise during the Great Depression. In 1944, sailors take part in a beard-growing contest aboard a ship. Events like these were common during long voyages, offering entertainment and a way to boost morale among the crew. 4 young people, elegantly dressed, walk through Chicago's South Side in 1941. Their formal clothing reflects a Sunday tradition, dressing sharply as a sign of pride, respect, and community. A girls' high school basketball team poses for a portrait around 1910. The players wear long, heavy uniforms typical of the era, highlighting the modesty and physical restrictions that early female athletes faced. Around 1952, Mayan women in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula wear traditional huipil garments, hand-embroidered with colorful patterns and deep cultural symbolism. These clothes are passed down through generations as part of Mayan identity. In 1934, a mail carrier sits atop a cargo tricycle in England. These vehicles were widely used for delivering letters and packages through narrow streets and crowded urban centers. In 1925, workers are photographed during the construction of New York's rapidly growing skyline. Skyscrapers rising across Manhattan signaled the city's transformation into a global financial powerhouse. In the 1892nd, Payne Bloom is seen riding along the Kaslo and Slocan Railway in British Columbia, Canada. Built to transport mined ore from the mountains, the railway played a key role in the region's economic development. In 1939, a man balances on a wooden plank at the edge of a skyscraper under construction. At the time, safety equipment was minimal, and workers often performed dangerous tasks at great heights. Officials walk through one of the massive pipelines of the Hoover Dam as it nears completion in the 1932nd, finished in 1936. The project provided flood control, water storage, and hydroelectric power for millions across the American Southwest. In 1947, a maintenance worker walks along the upper cables of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, completed in 1937. It was then the world's longest suspension bridge, an engineering marvel of its time. A family sets up camp in the 1922nd, complete with a kitchen trailer. Outdoor camping had become a popular recreational activity, especially for those exploring more remote parts of the country by car. In the 1942nd, a group of students takes a break, sharing bottles of Coca-Cola. The drink had already become a cultural icon, symbolizing relaxation, youth, and American life. A knocker-up, a person hired to wake factory workers, taps on windows in the early 1902nd. Before alarm clocks became affordable, this human wake-up call was essential during the Industrial Revolution. A milk delivery vehicle moves through the streets near Cambridge in the 1910nd. In Britain, milk was delivered daily, typically in glass bottles or metal cans, often carried by horse-drawn carts. In 1938, a technician performs maintenance on electromechanical switches inside a telephone exchange on East 30th Street in New York. These machines were vital to the growing telephone network and required constant upkeep. In March 1921, a train winds through the tightly packed homes of Kensal Rise, London. The image reflects how the city's railway expansion reshaped daily life, linking distant neighborhoods and making the growing capital feel more connected. Thousands gather under the open sky at the Woodstock Festival in 1969. Amid mud, music, and a spirit of rebellion, the crowd of over 400,000 turned a farm in New York into a symbol of freedom and cultural awakening for an entire generation. A man ascends quietly on a ski lift in 1955, surrounded by snow and sky. With winter sports gaining popularity, resorts expanded their infrastructure, turning remote peaks into leisure destinations for a growing middle class. Around 1910, a young woman performs on the harp before a crowd at the Rock of Cashel in Ireland. More than just music, the scene is steeped in cultural, meaning the harp, a national symbol, echoing centuries of Irish heritage. Albert Einstein, moments before his famous tongue-out photo, steps out of his 72nd birthday celebration at Princeton in 1951. Unaware of the lasting image about to be captured, he carries the quiet charm that made him a public icon beyond physics. In 1919, the first A.W. Root beer stand opens in California. With frosty mugs and fizzy sweetness, it didn't just sell a drink, it introduced a new kind of roadside culture that would define American drive-in dining for decades. To escape rising floodwaters from the Seine River, racegoers at the Maison Lafitte racetrack in Paris step gingerly across chairs. The 1924 scene is oddly theatrical, yet it speaks to how Parisians adapted with grace to the unpredictability of nature. A shoelace vendor stands on a crowded New York street in 1910, offering his modest goods to passers-by. In a city pulsing with ambition, even the smallest trade found its place in the daily rhythm of survival. In the UK, TV licensed detection fund patrols neighborhoods, Watching live broadcasts without a paid license was a punishable offense, and these vans were part of a national system designed to enforce fairness in public broadcasting. A towering stack of alcohol barrels is moments away from destruction in 1929. During Prohibition, such displays were meant to signal victory over vice, but underground. The black market told a very different story. A young boy watches intently as a watchmaker works, mesmerized by the rhythm of tiny gears. The image captures a quiet moment of curiosity, one generation learning from another through hands and patience. In 1919, the British airship R-34 touches down in Mineola, Long Island, completing the first successful transatlantic flight of its kind. The journey proved that even the skies could be crossed, ushering in a new era of global mobility. Floodwaters surged through New York City on the 12th of September, 1960, overwhelming the streets. The incident exposed the vulnerability of modern infrastructure and foreshadowed the climate challenges urban centers would increasingly face. A group of Napoleon's aging veterans posed solemnly in 1858 for a commemorative photograph. Their uniforms hang loose with time, but their eyes still carry echoes of battlefields once walked and empires once served. On the set of Popeye in 1980, Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall step into the cartoonish world of Olive Oyl and the Sailor Man. Beneath the costumes, the image captures the strange magic of filmmaking and nostalgia brought to life. In 1931, Irish boxing champion Elsie Connor stands poised in New York, defying expectations. In a sport dominated by men, she carved out a space of her own, both fierce and fearless. The 1952nd brought a wave of structured elegance to fashion, and necklines told the story, from modest cuts to daring shapes. These design details reflected changing ideals of femininity in a post-war world. Backstage at the Moulin Rouge in 1924, dancers ready themselves beneath ornate lights. The famed Parisian cabaret was a place of feathers, of flair, and freedom, where performers became legends behind closed velvet curtains. At a wartime beach in 1943, a clever trick of the lens creates a forced perspective illusion. These playful images offered levity and creativity during years when reality was often too heavy to bear. A man sits between two worlds in 1984, transferring files from his Commodore 64 to an early Apple computer. It's a scene from the dawn of the digital age, when home computing was still a curious tangle of wires and trial. In the 1932nd, privacy on the beach came in the form of portable changing tents. These small canvas huts gave women a sense of modesty, while swimwear and sunbathing slowly entered public life. A woman examines the seatbelt in her car during the 1952nd, an era when safety features were just beginning to enter public awareness. What once seemed optional would soon become life-saving standard. An automobile from 1957 sports an unusual feature, an insect screen stretched across its grille. It's a quirky snapshot of how practicality and experimentation defined car culture in mid-century America.